Hey everyone, it's Laura and I'm coming to you for my week 2 video straight out of the gym, so please excuse this sweaty mess. I'm excited to give you my progress on how I'm using the art and science of an 8-week fitness challenge to win the Orange Theory Fitness 8-week transformational challenge in which I am participating. So if you would like a little more context about what I am doing or my exploration of the WIFM, I recommend that you check out my earlier videos. During an unofficial weigh-in this morning, I'm down a little over 4.5 pounds. So a little bit of context, some of the Orange Theory Fitness winners in the past have lost about 10% of their body weight. So for me, that would be 19 pounds as my initial weigh-in was at 190. I'm pretty happy with that number. I understand that there's a lot of things that influence, just the number on the scale. And so I'm not using that as my only goal that I'm tracking towards. So speaking of tracking to goals, my Science of Change topic this week is around some project management basics. So before I get started, I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to colleague, manager, mentor, friend, and project manager extraordinaire, Katie. I reached out to her for some content this week, and life would look very different in a variety of ways if it wasn't for her influence, and I am just so delighted to share some of that information with you along the way. Okay, so I'm going to break down 2 project management basics that I like to call What's Your End Game and Get Your Life Together. So the first element that I want to cover for What's Your End Game, this is really about clearly defining what you are trying to accomplish and make sure that you and your team truly understand. Essentially, it doesn't matter what you do if you don't know where you're going. So consider this where you define your goals, using SMART goals whenever possible, because without a clear vision and articulating what success looks like, you run the risk of working really hard and ultimately feeling disappointed with the end results. It's important to work collaboratively with your team before anything else to establish the shared understanding. Some methods to explore are project scoping documents, strategy articulation maps, and organizing some kickoff activities. So if you're interested in learning more about the specifics of those tools, please let me know in the comments below. So the second element is get your life together. A common project management phrase is plan the work and work the plan. So if you've heard that once, you've probably heard it 100 times before because it is a very common project management phrase. So what it's alluding to is that you need to both establish your game plan and then stick with it in order to achieve success. Now, that doesn't mean that you do that without deviation or adjusting appropriately, but we'll talk about that later. So how do you get after this? If you start with the end in mind, start there and work backwards. You should be thinking about all the needs that need to happen and by when, should consider milestones, dependencies, potential roadblocks, you fill in the blank. So just an idea here, you might have a better chance of accomplishing the end game if you break it up into more reasonable chunks. And yes, chunk is in fact a technical and accepted project management term. You should also be considering who do you need on your team? Who's going to help you execute these plans? Do you have the right resources, the budget, the supplies? So specific tools at this phase would be a documented work plan, a timeline, risk issue action plan, status and progress check plan, defining your team, your budget, and your resources. Again, if you'd like for me to dive into any of these tools and how they work, please let me know, as I could speak to all of them in an annoying amount of detail, and so I won't do that during this video. So what does that look like for me during an 8-week fitness challenge? So I've already taken the effort to define my goal and vision, with the specific goal of losing 10% of my body weight and using my kickoff video to articulate that vision for the next 8 weeks. Success for me looks like having a positive weight loss during these 8 weeks, completing and posting a video each week while communicating out to my team, and obviously winning the challenge. Well, okay, maybe winning is a stretch goal here, but I'm definitely making moves to make that happen. Another way that I'm putting these concepts into practice is that I've broken my progress into 2-week chunks or milestones. So I've been focused on getting all my logistics and planning in place during these first 2 weeks while letting my body adjust to the increased working out and diet changes. And then the next 2 weeks are going to increase my physical activity outside of the required number of OTF workouts for the challenge, in addition to taking my diet to the next level. So that's my next chunk. Something I'm really excited to share more about is my risk mitigation plan that I have in place that really helps establish some personal resiliency, but that is a topic for another day. All right, well, thanks again for joining me for my week 2 update. As I continue to build out content for the coming weeks, please let me know in the comments below if you would like me to talk about what food I made for the Super Bowl, or how I intend to up my physical activity for the next chunk of work. Next week, I'm going to be covering another art topic, and I will keep you posted as to what that is. So thank you so much, and I will see you next week.